For me, this is a unique Weir's Way programme. Unique on 3 counts. 1, it starts in a lush motor car. 2, it's a Weir's Way that's going to be done in a town, and I've never done one in any town. 3, it's in England. And it's a very special visit for me because this town, Berwick-upon-Tweed, is celebrating its 500th year under English rule. Before that, it was Scottish, and that's the reason I'm going there. Well, this is where my walk starts. This is the Scott Gate, and below me is the thunderous traffic of the A1. And it is thunderous. This is a very busy day. There's a market down there. Every Wednesday and Saturday are here. And right above it, the old town hall, one of the finest Georgian buildings in Britain. But my walk goes this way, and in 20 minutes I'll be back here. I'll walk along the walls through roughly 700 years of history. What a transformation. Perfect peace along the top of an instrument of war. No wonder the old town of Berwick has been so well preserved. Within these amazing walls, I hadn't expected anything so high or massive. It's been said that this was the greatest single expense of Queen Elizabeth I's reign, perhaps more expensive than Trident as a proportion of the English economy. It was built for defence against the Scots, but never put to the test, as we hope our own nuclear defences never will be. The story of Berwick is a story of war between Scotland and England. It changed hands no less than 13 times. Berwick's walls were built to an Italian design with projections on thick curtain walls and tunnels into cunningly sited gun ports that enabled cannons to bring down fire on any point of the wall under attack. Earthworks piled on top gave each bastion the name of Mount, and outside was a 200-foot ditch, with in the middle another ditch, 12 feet broad, filled with water 8 feet deep. The bastions were not as high as this originally. Sentries could patrol along the top of the walls at first, until it was decided to pile the walls higher with earth for added defence. No doubt because of the open ground to the north, from where attack from Scotland was most likely to come. Edward I certainly had no problem sacking Berwick from the south when he massacred over 7,000 Scots in 1296, killing every man and boy capable of bearing arms. The day was Good Friday, and the Tweed ran red with blood. The medieval Lord's Mount is of special interest, a fortification with 19-foot thick walls over an area 100 feet in diameter, strong as could be made because it might have to withstand attack from 2 sides. It bridges a period of artillery history between earthworks and the more sophisticated bastions of the Elizabethan walls. It goes back over 440 years ago. Solid, powerful work. The walls make a natural country park because of the open greenery on each side of them. And when you leave Lord's Mount, you're in a pathway on top of the most ancient of the earthworks. The foundation of the bell tower is ancient, but the upper 4 stories belong to the Tudor period. It's quite hard to grasp the layout of Berwick, but these early builders, with the River Tweed on one side and the sea on the other, had a considerable grasp of the best way of defending a town on the very end spur of the Lammermuir Hills. And in keeping with what we've been seeing, set in a square is the oldest barracks in Britain. The barracks were occupied in 1721, rushed up after the scare of the 1715 Jacobite Rising. These Scots again. So that old clock has been ticking steadily for a long time. The paradoxical bit in an English town is that in 1881 it became the HQ of the King's Own Scottish Borderers, and it still is, although its days as a training depot and square bashing finished in 1964. There is a museum detailing the campaigns of the regiment and the changes in uniform styles over the years. More ambitious exhibits are planned when the barracks has had a facelift. Well, Alec, the old stones have had it, have they?
Yes, there's a lot of them had it, Tom, and a lot of soft stone in this bit. But they're 12th century, they come from the old
12th century?
12th century, they come from the old castle. And they're pretty good nick. I think they're pretty good nick for the year, right? However, we're replacing some of them, and everyone has to be grouted in to make it substantial at the back. And inside the wall is brick. All the inside is built with brick. And the infill is brick and stone. It's a mixture, right, you know.
Uh-huh.
It's like the Forth Road Bridge. You come back another 5 years and take some more out.
Uh-huh. You're the charge hand mason.
I'm the charge hand mason here,
and
yes.
you're not only in charge of the barracks, but the walls as well.
I'm in charge of all round about Berwick here, the ramparts, the walls, and the guard room, the magazine, and the castle. So it's quite a big area, like, you know.
About 3 miles of walls,
well, roughly, say about 3 miles, 2 miles, 2 to 3 miles.
Will the different stones eventually match each other?
Well, they're toned down a bit with the weather, like all stones, you know, and the grime was going about, the fumes of the cars, toned them down.
Now, there's a fairly massive reconstruction going on of the barracks at the moment.
Yes, they are at the moment, and it's supposed to be finished in 1984.
1984?
That's when it's going to be finished. What they're doing now, they're doing they're doing new roofs and leaving as much timber as possible, just cutting the rotten bits out because we're preservation.
What about that timber?
Oh, the timber's what's in the clock block. Oh, yes, that's comes from the old boatyard at Tweed, some of it, the old frigates and that. So that's going way back.
And what century are we talking about with these old timbers?
Well, the 15th century, the old frigates, of course, some of them be repaired at Tweedmouth and the boatyard there.
Real hearts of oak?
Real hearts of oak, the old English oak. And they're still in pretty good condition.
And that gate that's in there that you're busy fixing up?
Oh, the shore gate. That was altered at one time. That was in the 18th century, that was altered. But they are going back shortly when they get them repaired.
You know, that magazine up the road, I actually thought that magazine was a church.
Oh, no. They built that because the magazines was printed up. And they built that there out of the way, like. And now it's got plenty of ventilation, it shouldn't get damp.
Well, that explains why it's so high.
That's why it's so high.
There's an air space under the top.
Oh, there's plenty of air gets in. Yes.
And not a window.
Not a window in it. There's not a lot of people come up to me and say, is that a chapel or a church?
Well, I feel very privileged because my friend Alec has given me the original key kept by the governor of Berwick to get into the gunpowder magazine. 2 turns, he told me, it took to open it. That's the second. Because of the barrels of gunpowder, dry as dust, everything outside and inside has to be of non-spark material. Even the lock and the tongue of the door are of brass, and the gutters and downpipes of copper. The sliding pulleys were for picking up the barrels of gunpowder when they had to be moved. And because explosions tend to go up rather than out, the roof with the vaulted ceiling was made high. Safety precautions had to be strict. Keeping the powder dry, of course, was all important, or the elaborate system of defence was no use. Guns were fired from the walls during the last war, anti-aircraft guns. Berwick was bombed by Germany 26 times. You're always conscious of the North Sea on Berwick's walls. And on the day I was there, the lifeboat was called out. It was to a yacht in trouble, I heard later. And there's always somebody strolling along the breakwater to the lighthouse where the fishermen net the salmon. The season lasts from mid-February to mid-September, and I've heard stories of tremendous catches, 5,000 taken in one amazing day in 1959. But here's an odd thing about Berwick. English laws apply to everything but the salmon fishing. And the reason is because the fishing rights are controlled by the Scottish upriver salmon proprietors. Salmon netters work in crews of 5 and 6 under licence. Some of the men have spent a lifetime fishing here at Crabwater Bat. Hello there. Hello. Well, you know, I was expecting a great big net full of salmon there.
Oh, you were? Oh, well, you was rather disappointed then.
I was, aye.
Ah, but hard lines. No, they're very scarce today. Because there's a lot of this drift netting out in the sea, like, you know, and I catch them and can be caught twice.
Well, they can be caught twice, but is this kind of typical now of the fish getting scarcer even in the Tweed, the greatest of all salmon rivers?
Well, the hauls is not getting any larger. And the total for the end of the season, we are down to other seasons. I mean, in regards to about 20 years ago, we had 901 day, 156 in one haul. For the week, just over the 2,000. Not just for 1 week.
No wonder they're scarce.
Aye. That's salmon, gills and trout, though, mind you.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
So Berwick, which practically grew up in fishing, is now seeing the last of the trade, is it?
Well, and the fisheries now is they're disappearing, they're getting cut down. We'll have to move.
Yeah, you have to move now.
I'd call Berwick a place of delightful wee excursions, each with a different change of mood in a short distance. You'd think nothing ever happened here. There's no such thing as a straight street, though, and the reason I'm told is because uneven lines broke the direction of rifle fire. It's all tranquility today. Now for the market. And as well as buying almost anything from a needle to an anchor, you can hear a lot of good patter. Whether you actually get bargains or not is something nobody's very sure about. But just wandering around, you get a lot of fun. There's a marvellous variety of accents around, Geordie and Scots. But the Berwickers don't say they are Scots or English, just Berwickers. The population is supposed to be 12,000, and they seem to be all here or hereabouts, despite this being midweek.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a fantastic set. Silver seal sterling net here. Get £5, £4, 4 or 3, or even 30 more. One customer. Oh. Well, there you are, madam. You pay in cash. 50 pence for that. I've got news for you, sir. This dollar collapsed I went doing last week. The hat never came up. There you are, 50 pence, madam.
You got a bit with a bit broom in it?
Yes, darling. I've got a big dart in the bedroom for you any time.
I'm away into the town hall to meet Jack Weatherburn, who spent most of his life as custodian. This is the cell for drunks, Jack, and what you reckon is the oldest jail in the country.
That's so. This is the oldest jail in Great Britain in its original form. It's never been altered.
Well, there was a lot of crime in Berwick then in the old days.
Well, it was a large seaport and a large garrison town, and there was quite a bit of crime in Berwick. It was a very rough town to live in bygone days.
And all the drunks lay together in this big bench.
They did, all together in one big bed.
That was a night's dust, and then they were turned loose in the morning.
If they were too drunk to get up the stairs that we came up, they used to pull them up through a hole in the bell-top floor and then just throw them into here.
How about these other cells?
Well, we have a cell for the drunken sailors, a cell for the ladies, and a special reinforced cell for any prisoner that they thought might try to escape. We also have a condemned cell. Well, it was last used in 1823, and the last person in there was a woman called Grace Griffin. She married her husband, and she was the last person to be hanged in Berwick. Now, Grace Griffin always pleaded her innocence. When she left here, they hired a hay cart for the people that were condemned to be hanged and brought it to the front door. The coffin was already on the hay cart, and they sat on the coffin up the Gallows Hill. Now, when Grace Griffin left this jail to be hanged, a white dove flew down and settled on her shoulder. And the people of Berwick took this as an omen of her innocence. However, she was still hanged because it was a public holiday in Berwick.
And some of these tools, these look horrible things. What about these two long
These are implements of torture. These are branding irons. All prisoners that were shipped from this jail to Australia as convicts were branded with the Berwick bear. They were branded on the arm. This was so if they ever escaped in Australia, they knew they were convicts. The big one was for the men and the little one for the women. Nowadays, with women's lib, they'll probably all get the big one.
Well, I noticed in these timbers there's various bits of graffiti of all kinds, some of them very, very finely executed. You see that?
Well, this is a good example of copperplate writing. But these were all soldiers, sergeants in the army, of course. This is one that was in the 30th Regiment, 1779. It's marvellous writing, this, of course, and there's some nice ships as well.
Now, is this the timber that was put up when the jail was first constructed, or is it older?
Well, this is the timber from the previous jail. The previous jail was in a state of collapse, and the Guild of Freemen decided to build a new jail, as there was quite a few prisoners waiting to get into it. So these timbers were brought from the old jail and put in here to get the jail finished quick.
So they could be 300
Oh,
years,
it could
400
be, yes.
years old?
There's been a town hall here and a jail since 1249.
And this particular building was constructed as a town hall somewhere about 1750.
1750. This was the heart of the town. Everything was conducted from this building. The police station, the fire station, and the municipal affairs of that time.
So it was the hub of Berwick.
Hub of Berwick. This was the heart of the town.
The first thing I noticed, Jack, in coming into this town was how colourful it was. Apart from the grace of these Georgian buildings, the red pan-tiled roofs.
Now, these pantiles originate from the Low Countries. The ships that came here in ballast to pick up a cargo used the pantiles for ballast, and they dumped them at the mouth of the River Tweed when they came into port. And the Berwick people, being thrifty, bought these pantiles and put them on the roofs. But they discovered if they put the pantiles right down to the spouting that the snow wouldn't slide off. So they put 6 rows of slates along the bottom to take the snow away quick.
And these ships will be taking away the grain that were...
Cargoes of barley and timber and so forth.
And I believe that the word Berwick, in fact, it means grain.
Well, it's an Anglo-Saxon. Berwick is an Anglo-Saxon word which literally means barley village.
This is the Customs House Quay, a quiet backwater now, but when Berwick was one of the 4 royal boroughs of Scotland, its revenue was second only to London. Most traffic today goes over the bridges, 3 of them. There was only a decrepit old wooden bridge here in 1603 when James VI of Scotland and First of England crossed in terror on his way to be crowned. There's nothing much in the way of industry now, not even shipbuilding, though the boat used by Grace Darling in 1838 to rescue the steamship Forfarshire was built right here. With a decline in traditional industries, employment for men is a growing problem in Berwick. These 3 bridges portray the evolution of transport over 3.5 centuries. The first was commissioned by James VI after his alarming adventures on the old wooden bridge. You could call the old stone bridge of 15 arches stretching over 1,600 feet his monument. And it carried all the traffic of the A1 until 1928, when the Prince of Wales opened the Royal Tweed Bridge, which set 2 engineering records for the largest reinforced concrete arch and is the longest highway viaduct at that time. And soaring above all is the Royal Border Bridge, opened in 1850 by Queen Victoria. Its 28 arches took 2,000 men 3 years and £253,000 to build. Today you could hardly build a mile of motorway for that. But a new bypass road and a 4th bridge over the Tweed clear of the town is under construction now. So for the first time in history, Berwick will not be on the A1. For me though, the big railway viaduct is synonymous with Berwick, because it was from a train that I first saw the wee town going on army leave during the war, with the Tweed below me and the wee walled town, which I have always seen as Scottish. There's nothing more imperishable than stone. Imagine sitting here on walls that were built in 1297 by Edward I, the Hammer of the Scots. He built this fortification as part of the defence of Berwick. The stones were used to build that railway bridge, one of the finest viaducts in Britain, built by the son of George Stephenson, the inventor of the steam locomotive. The great hall of the castle is now the railway station. So when you stand on the station platform, you're actually at the place where the Wars of Independence really began. Because Edward, when he chose the puppet king, John Balliol, really started something, leading to the rise of William Wallace, then Robert the Bruce, and Bruce himself stormed these castle walls, scaled the walls and took the castle and held it for the duration of his reign. So this is really a historic spot on this defence point built down to the Tweed to prevent anybody from reaching the castle. And it's been a great walk along the river bank. I only wish I could go all the way because every step is through history right to Carlisle. That Berwick is a story so tremendous that even though it's the shortest Weir's way I think I'll ever have done in terms of ground covered, it's certainly the richest in period history.